If you think there's nothing to do in Newcastle and Lawrence County, then think again. Always stay connected to NCTV45 to receive the information on events going on in and around the area on a daily basis. Programs to view are Newswatch, The Morning Show, and Community Happenings. NCTV45 takes pride in bringing you the event and organization info that you want. NCTV45 is the #1 media source locally. NCTV45, anytime on your time. The Cedars Restaurant in Newcastle wants you to indulge in the food from their pleasing menu. The Cedars features Mediterranean, pub food, Middle Eastern cuisine, and so much more. They're open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Call the Cedars on the east side at 827 Addis Street, Newcastle. 724-658-9543. That's 724-658-9543.
Well, we're back.
Welcome
Welcome
to
back
my good friend Alex. And it took Brian Kelly moving to the Gulf Coast
to bring me back in, right?
Yeah. LSU? Really?
Okay, so obviously that's the biggest.
It's the
biggest news of college football.
Well,
right now.
let's first of all This isn't about Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I think the bigger question is, you have and I'm looking at the odd figure. They're saying Notre Dame has a 50-50 chance of being in the CFB College Bowl situation playoff. Who quits when you're on the verge of a championship?
Okay, so
Okay.
that is kind of fishy. So, look, coaches have sometimes left before bowl games and things like that. But yeah, it's not like Notre Dame was going to like the Tire Bowl or something like that.
It wasn't a minor bowl, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
It was the worst case scenario. They go to New Year's Six Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
which is huge in itself. So this, to me, was a slap in the face to the Irish.
Well, it makes me wonder, and again, this is just a thought I have. It makes me wonder, is there some behind-the-scenes stuff going on? Is there something, a lot of times when coaches flee that fast, they're trying to get away from maybe like violations or kind of, I'm not saying that's the case.
I don't think there were violations. I think possibly a problem with the athletic director.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's the thing, there's so many dynamics that go on behind the scenes, and if I read correctly, I think, Kelly's going to be making $3 million more. I mean, $3 million is from $3 million, but, for someone who's made a lot of money like him, is that enough for him to leave Notre Dame?
And here's the thing. There becomes a thing, economies of scale. So, you're a Midwest guy. Okay, you've coached in Indiana, Ohio, and Michigan. And now you're going to go to a totally new area. You have no ties. You're going to be comfortable no matter where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to be worried about his next meal, I assure you. So, with that being said, even though it's more money, there's no real difference in the more money. You know what I mean? It's not going to affect his day-to-day living, and very little of his long-term, he'll have a long-term retirement thing that I guess he could pass on to people, but his legacy now is tarnished as walking out of a situation where he was winning and on the brink of winning more. So the question thus becomes this. If he loses at LSU, who's going to take him? He's a relatively young guy.
Well,
Would you take a guy that walked away from a winner and went and further lost? I don't think I would.
Well, here's the thing. I feel as if maybe Kelly, and thinking it's easier to win a championship at LSU, maybe he's like, okay, 11 years.
I know, because you have those easy games like Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, not to mention Tennessee and Texas A&M. Yeah, I get that.
Well,
it's a lot easier.
All right, I can sense your sarcasm there. But what I'm trying to say is, from everything I'm hearing and, recruiting-wise and stuff I've researched, it seems unanimous that could be, LSU's actually probably the easiest place to recruit to. Now,
because of the academic standards, you're saying being lower.
Oh, I'm not going. That's your words, not me. I've never.
Well, let me just. When I was at college, we had a guy from Tennessee. He was on the swim team, and we actually at Duquesne had a pretty decent swim team at that time. He ended up going to a college down south. It was in Louisiana, and it wasn't LSU. And he said it's easier down there.
Look, some schools do have more rigor, academic standards. I know, for example, like Vanderbilt, you have to have a pretty good GPA. And yeah,
right.
Look, that does limit some potential recruits.
Duke.
It is what it is.
Stanford. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree.
I don't know what they particularly are at LSU, but I get the point you're trying to make. Now, the question becomes, where does Notre Dame go from here? I have only two candidates I could think of. One's currently on their staff, Freeman, the defensive coordinator. Right. Or listen, man, I know he's in the NFL right now. Urban Meyer. I always said Notre Dame was his dream job.
That keeps surfacing, and here's my take on it. First of all, I kind of feel bad for Freeman. He came there from Cincinnati. He's in his first year. He was never a head coach. Mm-hmm. So to put him in that position, just terrible.
Oh, he'll take it.
Okay.
Oh, he'll take the job.
Yeah, but I'm not going to, in the words of Sauerbeck, and I don't really like the AD at Notre Dame as much, I don't want to take a step backward. Well, with anybody else, that would be considered a step backward because he has no coaching experience.
Okay, but I get what you're saying. That doesn't automatically mean it would be a step backwards. Look, I know there's different sport.
What's the odds? Okay, if this was baseball, would you take a guy that batted 500 times and was maybe 250, or would you take a guy and he never played in the major leagues, or would you take a guy that played in the major leagues and batted 250 and he had some experience?
And I get what you're saying, but sometimes, if you don't have that option, look, when Batten Howland left Pitt to go to UCLA, Jamie Dixon was never head coach. He was on the staff, took over, didn't miss a beat. I'm saying it can happen. There is a thing with continuity there. I get what you're saying. What I'm saying is if you hire the defensive coordinator, I don't think it's the worst hire.
No, I think there's better options. You got Reeves, who was the offensive coordinator, a Notre Dame guy. He understands Notre Dame, better fit. I think going forward from there, I think the guy at Cincinnati. Yeah.
Eccles.
Pickle.
Right. Eccles.
Better,
Pickle.
yeah, better fit. The guy from Iowa State, better fit.
Urban Meyer.
Okay, better fit.
Now,
Urban Meyer would have to conform to the culture. because it isn't an SEC culture.
And I know, well, and look, I know he had some controversy with the Jaguars, with that, the bar girl thing.
Sure, and that's why I said the culture.
Right now, 2-9. I just don't know. Look, I never thought Urban Meyer would be a great NFL coach to begin with. But look, he goes in Urban Meyer plus Notre Dame. Amazing coach with amazing recognition. Notre Dame, just being Notre Dame, combine them two.
And you got that right. Just being Notre Dame is huge.
It's been too long since Notre Dame it's been too long since they won a national title.
Right, and I understand that, but I'm going to be fair to everybody across the board here. And I'll call out my friends in Michigan and even Ohio State. The body of work at Notre Dame, since Kelly, the body of work has looked good.
Mm-hmm.
The body of work under Charlie Weiss wasn't bad. The other two guys, Davies, Ty Willingham, the body of work was not good. So I see the body of work as a positive. Now, as a great PR stunt, what I'd do if I was Notre Dame, as an interim coach, I'd tell him just manage. I'd bring in Lou Holtz, because that would pick the team up and as an interim. And then after they won the national title, then I'd say, Urban Meyers, welcome aboard. And that would be a heck of a throw. Okay, that would be one heck of a throw, because Urban Meyers could also educate your young staff. For the defensive coordinator, Freeman, wouldn't it be a great thing to learn under Urban Meyers?
No, I get what you're saying. Freeman, Urban Meyer sounds like a pretty good staff. Now, Urban Meyer, look, this is probably just coach talk. He said, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm staying in Jacksonville." I mean, he said things like that.
Well, we had Kelly say, unless somebody comes up with unless somebody comes up with a $250 million check, and my wife's going to probably want to see that check, I'm staying at Notre Dame. I'm just saying, I'm a Notre Dame guy. I don't just watch the game. I'm there at the pep rally. I'm
reading
there at the post. And I'm reading Blue and Gold and everything else I'm reading. And I'm saying, okay, this is not one of those things. Now, here's a thing. And I'm going to say this before we go to break. BIGH.
BIGH.
Baylor, Iowa, Georgia, Houston. Any win or two wins puts the Irish in the playoff, because Baylor plays Oklahoma State.
Mm-hmm.
Iowa plays Michigan.
Wouldn't that be something? If
Georgia plays Alabama, and Houston, excuse me, everybody's ignoring them. They're 11-1. They play Cincinnati down in Texas.
Wouldn't it be something if Notre Dame was to, find its way in somehow, and then they win the national championship? Wouldn't that,
And that's my reason for saying Lou Holtz. He's the best interim organizer. You're going to depend on him for 2 games. If you give me Holtz to organize for 2 games, and he has a month to do it, I'm taking Holtz.
Now, you talking Lou Holtz like the guy from College Game Day Holtz?
He coached Notre Dame. Their last national title was under Lou Holtz.
I mean, I just don't know, the age thing, isn't he,
You only got to get through 4 weeks.
Well, then again, you can make the kid Paterno was old, and he was just a figure, right?
He's going to manage. It's a great PR thing. Lou Holtz and Notre Dame win the national title. And
I think it's time for a break. And I'll tell you what, when we come back, now we're going to talk about a school that I follow closely, and a school that's been too long, that I've went too long without talking about.
I know. Just
And
wait.
Now we're from our sponsor.
ACC action, too, in basketball. BC Notre Dame.
The Cedars Restaurant in Newcastle wants you to indulge in the food from their pleasing menu. The Cedars features Mediterranean, pub food, Middle Eastern cuisine, and so much more. They're open every day 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Call the Cedars on the east side at 827 Addis Street, Newcastle. 724-658-9543. That's 724-658-9543.
This program furnished by Sporting Goods, 23 East Washington Street, Newcastle. Call 724-658-2535.
Hi, pizza friends. You can still find delicious Augustine's Pizza at your local supermarket. The folks at Augustine's Pizza hope that their pizza is always your first choice for any and all occasions.
And we're back.
We are back, and well, we spent the first session talking about Notre Dame. The second segment is going to be about your Angelo Parada's second favorite team, the Pitt Panthers, right? Look,
I like how you did that.
right. Well, look, I've been saying on the show for a while that this year Narduzzi had to put up or shut up. 10-2. The Pitt Panthers are 10-2, ranked number 15 in the college football playoff. So look, it's Narduzzi's team. He's the head coach. I called him out on this year. 10-2. ACC Coastal Champions going to the ACC Championship game. Now, here's the thing.
Now, and let me interrupt you, because I'm not of a complete understanding here. Okay? And I'm not throwing a wet towel on this by any stretch of the imagination. Everybody can have a bad game. But I'm looking at Western Michigan.
See, we got people already calling, trying to explain. Yeah, they're trying to get you quiet.
And I'm looking at Western Michigan, and I'm looking at Miami. And I'm saying, okay, I can take Miami. At least they're big time.
We're going to the bowl game. They're going to the bowl game.
But Western Michigan, when I look at Western Michigan's schedule, I'm not seeing like Western Michigan lost 3 games: Central Michigan, Toledo, and Ball State.
Okay. I'm going to
and they lost to Michigan.
Okay, look. First of all, bad losses happen. They do. Upsets happen.
I agree.
Okay. I just don't think Western Michigan is as awful as the team people said. They're 7-5. They're going to be going to a bowl game. It's not like they lost to, YSU or some hapless team. Also, Western Michigan has a great offense. Pitt's pass defense is awful. I mean, just awful. And Pat Narduzzi's, known to be a defensive genius. And this is what I'm worried about. Pitt has some decent players coming back next year. Potential Biletnikoff Award winner, Jordan Addison, wide receiver. But Kenny Pickett, first of all, who would have thought? What a year he's had, obviously. I'm not saying he should win the Heisman. He's definitely in the conversation.
He's going to go high in the draft. And here's what you have to think, and this is what I think about Pitt. They're in an excellent position to regain their swagger.
Yes. Listen, Pitt is, I think it's safe to say Pitt is back to being a football school. Now,
that's thanks to basketball coaching.
Well, I was just about to say, some of that is because their basketball program is so bad. I'll get to that in a little bit. But I do wonder.
We're now a football school because our basketball team, wow.
Well, I mean, by default, right?
Yeah.
But look, I worry. Obviously, without Kenny Pickett, their Heisman quarterback, they're not going to be as good next year. If Kenny Pickett wasn't Kenny Pickett this year, I could kind of see Pitt being like 3-9 instead of 10-2. I really could. I wonder next year how they're gonna fare. They're having some good pieces come back, but I mean,
let's talk about it. I always said the issue with Pitt is they didn't give the coach long enough time. They're giving Narduzzi time.
7 years, and I'm sure he'll get an extension.
The other thing I always said was you don't tear down the Fitzgerald Fieldhouse and tear down the football stadium. That was some bad thinking. Nobody ever wins football titles where their players have to travel. Then I warned about hiring this guy as Pitt basketball coach, and on a scale of 1 to 10,
it's bad.
I was like, listen, Townsend,
Citadel,
and Wilmington, that's their only wins. And they weren't, Townsend, they only beat them by 4.
Look who they lost to, UMBC. I don't even know what that stands for. The Citadel.
Okay. And I'm saying Wilmington, they only won by 8. They lost by 4 to Townsend. 8 isn't a large number because you take that's 2 3-pointers, and you're only down 2. So they should have never joined They joined the ACC, but I think they were better off playing.
What about from a football standpoint, then?
From a football standpoint, it was a good move. But they joined it because of basketball.
I think you're right.
They didn't join it because of football. And they're not that good in basketball.
Oh, gee, and it might be a while. The alarming thing is the amount of players leaving the program since Capel's been there. It's why. Why is it happening? There's something going on. Why are players leaving? He was getting good recruits, and then they leave. He has no recruits coming in now for this next class.
Here's the next thing. There's going to be some really bad basketball played in Pittsburgh, December 28th, because Notre Dame doesn't have a great basketball team, and they're coming in to play Pitt, and that's where I think the AD at Notre Dame's got to go, because he's on Ray. Ray's had winning programs, so you have to think, is the Notre Dame AD bad? And I say take him, the head coach at Pitt for basketball, send them all to the same place.
Well, who's going to want the Pitt basketball job, though? They're in the tough ACC. I mean, man, like, it's going to be...
That's why they were better off in the Big East, playing with teams that were like them.
And that's...
And I'm going to add one more thing. They would be... They can't. See, they're trapped in now, so they got to ride the football thing. But some equally bad basketball, and they're only one win above Pitt, is the Duquesne Dukes. Hofstra, Weber State, Northeastern, I'll give them an overtime loss at Colorado. But those are 3 bad teams, okay? And what am I looking at as you go down? Bowling Green, Marshall, DePaul, New Hampshire, UC Irvine, Wolford, Davidson. I don't see our December schedule. We went to pork chops, greasy, let's make the schedule easy, and then we got worse. Now we better head for a break.
And,
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Word from our sponsors.
BSB, Big Shot Bob's are the wings for me. 50 flavors, make it right, you see. BSB has sandwiches you have to try. Stop in and you'll know why. Every day of the week you see. Call or stop in to BSB. Big Shot Bob's will be your favorite place, just like me.
The Crane Room for your lunch and dinner rendezvous. You'll enjoy their pleasant atmosphere. The Crane Room takes pride in their wide variety menu. Appetizers, sandwiches, soups, salads, entrees, pasta, and the best burgers in town. Newcastle's best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers from around the world, and the Crane Room features a 35-tap draft system. Ask about their daily specials that will please you every time. The Crane Room is located at 3009 Wilmington Road in Neshannock Township. Call 724-656-1553.
Well,
so goes another segment.
So exactly, and welcome back to our third and final segment here, the Cedar Sports Corner. And before we wrap up, let's just touch base on a few things. Steelers, man.
Bad.
It's bad. I'll tell you what, hey, maybe they'll get Kenny Pickett, right? I don't know.
Last time they passed on a Pittsburgh quarterback,
Marino.
somebody else was winning Super Bowls.
Right. I'll tell you what. I mean, it's obviously there's going to be more than just getting the quarterback situation fixed there. I mean, it's important when it's a quarterback situation. You've been following Devin Bush though. You've been seeing like highlights of him literally taking like plays off and things like that. And, like there's something going on there with him.
New coach.
You know what?
New coach time. Time to get on with your life's work.
The Rooneys don't do that, man. Like,
I know.
They hire popes, basically. You know what I mean? They're there for like 60 years.
Well, it's time to see some smoke. Because Rome is burning here.
Any final thoughts your way?
Notre Dame, listen to me. Take Holtz for the interim. Get Urban Meyers for the long term. If you don't want Urban Meyers, you got to go to Cincinnati. You don't want to go to Cincinnati, you got to go to Iowa State. And if you don't want to go to Iowa State, you go to Reeves, a Notre Dame guy.
All right, and I guess one of my other final thoughts is Penn State extending James Franklin. My whole thing, like, do these college extensions mean too much? I mean, I feel like they can extend someone, but they have enough money, they can fire and buy him out, you know?
Yeah, but is that the way you want to spend your money? And they asked a real good question on the interview last night. Is it now colleges about the highest paid coaches? I hope not. I hope we still remain academic institutions. I wouldn't have hired Franklin, but I'm not a Penn State fan. So in the words of Billy Joel, don't go changing to try and please me.
All right, everyone, and I hope you all had a very good Thanksgiving last week, and let's go Pitt beat Wake Forest.
We'll see you again real soon. Let's go Irish. We're available anytime on your time.